if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Giara just got an email from Dave and he can't get on. All the elementary principals are waiting, but we can't see him.
Well, they're going to be attendees. They're not going to have cameras and
Okay, gotcha. All right.
capabilities.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, at 7 o'clock, I'll open the meeting and welcome everybody that's online and maybe watching on Facebook. We appreciate your interest in the school board meeting tonight. I apologize for what we're having to do, but it is what it is, and we're making do. And everybody knows in the district that we're doing distance learning. We're doing a lot of different things, and we appreciate everybody's patience. And you know, I haven't heard a lot of complaints. I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about what we're doing here in our district. So I think that's a good thing. But I certainly understand that it's been very difficult, especially for you folks out there that may be watching or listening that have kids at home. And I don't have that issue, but I certainly feel for those folks that do. And in fact, my wife and I discussed about how difficult it would have been to have to do what you folks are having to have to do. And so I apologize, but it's certainly no fault of our own, and you can't blame it on anybody. And but I appreciate those folks that they're here tonight. I do have a flag. You do not have to stand up, but I'm going to pick on Greg since he's on my screen. Greg, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Like I said, you do not have to stand, but put your hand over your heart and lead us in the pledge, please. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
visible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Public comments, we did receive one comment that was received today, in fact, and I will read it to you. This is from patron Gina Harvey, and she says, I'm writing this email regarding Green River High School graduation. My youngest son, Thomas Harvey, is part of the class of 2020. His older brothers are proud graduates of Green River High School. The graduation ceremonies were very special events that they will never forget. The class of 2020 deserves a proper graduation. If school isn't back in session and having the graduation date of May 18th isn't allowed, the graduation date should be moved to the summer. The class of 2020 has had so many once-in-a-lifetime events taken away from them. They deserve an in-person graduation, not virtual. Please give the class of 2020 a proper graduation send-off. If it has to be moved to a later date in the summer, I would be willing to help in any way I can. I know other senior parents would help also. I would also ask that you seriously think about this class and how important graduation is. Let's give them the graduation they deserve, even if it has to be rescheduled in the summer. Sincerely, Gina Harvey. Gina, thank you very much for that. We will have further discussion on that as we go through our agenda tonight. I would recommend that people mute their microphones if you could. And to the Board of Trustees, when we make a motion tonight, please say, I, Robin, make a motion to whatever, and whoever seconds it, please give us your name. It's going to be difficult to try to figure out who's doing the motion, so I'd appreciate that. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I, Rochelle, move to approve the agenda.
I, Brenda, second.
Okay, Rochelle moved and Brenda seconded to approve the agenda. We need an amendment to the agenda. We need to add 6.02. So Robin, would you please present that amendment,
I
please?
would like to make an amendment at 6.02, consider resignation of staff.
Okay, I need a second, please.
I, Brenda, second.
Okay, Robin moved, Brenda seconded to amend the agenda at 6.02, consider resignation of certified staff. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All those in favor of the amended agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item is our consent agenda items, approval of board meeting minutes. We have several of those. approval of the bills, approval of financial documents and investments, approval of nutrition services report, current openings, recognition of homeschool request and enrollment. I need a motion to approve unless there's somebody who wants to discuss anything off that. Otherwise, I'll need a motion.
I, Karina, make that motion.
Okay.
I, Robin, second.
Okay, it's been moved by Karina, seconded by Robin to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, just an informational or interest-based negotiations with the Green River Education Association is scheduled for May 6th in the Central Administration Boardroom. I've got a gut feeling that's not going to happen like we've done it in the past. We'll try to figure out a way to get that done, and we will keep you informed of that. I would recommend to the board that if they're, well, Jamie and I will discuss maybe a possible way to get that done along with the GREA, and we'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. We still got about 3 weeks before we have to do that, but hopefully we can get that hammered out in a night. And I'm probably going to have to do it on Zoom, or we may consider possibly assigning a couple of board members, a couple of GREA members, Chris and Jamie, and 6 or 7 of us get into a room with our distancing and hammer out a deal. That maybe be one of the things we have to do. And then obviously we'll have to have a Zoom meeting the following day to approve what we've agreed to. That may be an option. Is any discussion? Anybody else have any other ideas? Okay, being none, let's move on to personnel. First item is consider approval of the new certified contracts. Mr. Foos, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Core. We're seeking board approval for Green River High School Principal Darren Heslop, and thank you for your consideration.
Okay, I need a motion to approve Darren Heslop as the new principal at Green River High School.
I, Brenda, move to approve.
Okay, Brenda moved.
I, Karina, second.
Okay, and Karina second. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome Darren Heslop. Looking forward to working with him as the new principal at Green River High School. 6.02, consider resignations of certified staff. Mr. Foos?
A couple late resignations. They did meet the deadline, so it is still nothing beyond what legal statute says, but Austin Moundy headed to Casper, Wyoming. Aaron Crego headed to Lander, Wyoming. So Austin Moundy, science teacher, Lincoln Middle School. Aaron Crego, math teacher, Expedition Academy, resignations. Thank you for your consideration.
I need a motion to approve the certified resignations, please.
This is Rochelle. So moved.
Robin, second.
Okay, moved by Rochelle and seconded by Robin to approve the certified resignations of Austin Moundy and Aaron Crego. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We wish them the best in their new endeavors. Good luck moving.
Thank you.
All right, our curriculum instruction assessment, an update on the adapted learning plan. Jamie, welcome to the meeting and look forward to this report.
Thank you, Chairman Core and trustees. I just wanted to give
Jamie, let me jump in real quick. Please mute your mics.
Okay. Chairman Core and trustees, I'd like to give an update on the on our adapted learning plan that we have in place. At this point, we've really got things in a place that are pretty solid as far as the way the plan looks and reads. I know that we've got some, I've been getting a lot of feedback on it and the progress we're making and the process we're putting in place. I do think that I'm hoping tomorrow to have finalized some grading criteria and some grading guidelines for our teachers at the different levels. I hope everybody got an opportunity, and I know our administrators did, to read the article that I sent out last week that was forwarded by Brian Farmer. That was a very useful article, I think, in this guidance. And I think I've just got to work on some wording, but I really appreciate our administrators and our directors and all the feedback and you know that they've given me on that thing as we collectively put it together. And so I know our teachers are waiting for that anxiously, but right now they're going along the way doing things the way that they've always done them. And we'll get those directions out to them fairly quickly. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully by tomorrow. Another piece I'm working on that as we clarify the grading piece is a question and answer, a frequently asked questions page that I will post up as well on our website, and then update it frequently as we move and things change a little bit. So I've got to make some updates on that. But I think we're pretty good shape. As far as the plan, the implementation of the plan, that's really what matters. And I have to tell you that the feedback I've gotten from from parents around Green River in the last few days have been very helpful as well. I believe that so far I've gotten several emails, and also I've reached out and talked to a few parents of students in different buildings to see kind of what their thoughts were, how things were going at home, what kind of struggles they faced. And I think for the most part they're happy with the efforts, and they know that everybody's doing the best they can, and certainly everybody's working hard at it. I know one of the things we want to stay in tune to is the amount expected at home for these children. I think or the students, because what we're trying to do is really focus on the essential learnings of those in each of those content areas or grade levels, and have some real focus areas. And we don't want that to get away from us, because I know that homes are overwhelmed right now as well, and there's some stress out there in the homes with students as well as teachers and parents who are still working and trying to balance that with education. We got some good input yesterday. We had a call with the Wyoming Department of Education, and it does impact this plan, because they were really talking about how does the grading in this time period figure into things like the Hathaway Scholarship or admission into community colleges or the University of Wyoming. And I think overall, what I'm hearing statewide, and then we heard it again today with the Western Wyoming president, was the fact that there's a real strong awareness of how this semester is going to look different all around the country, and not just in Sweetwater County or Wyoming. So if a district decides to go an SU grade, for example, in grades 9 through 12, that doesn't have an impact on the GPA. Also, if they choose to go, a letter grade, that they're really going to be looking at the last 3.5 years and understand that this semester is different for everybody. Colleges and universities as well, as they look at enrollment requirements, et cetera, they're going to look at that and know that this semester is different than others. So that's how that affects that piece. Part of the conversation today, and Darren and Mike were on this, Darren Howard and Mike Imoni were on the call with the president of the college, was our current and dual enrollment courses that our students are involved with. And, how do you, and a lot of those are career and technical education programs. So on those career and technical education classes, the question comes up about performance of skills and how we measure that in this capacity. And really, there's really no way to do that. And everybody acknowledged that and understood. And again, so it's no different than the public schools. If a student gets out of a concurrent enrollment class and goes to Western Wyoming Community College, for example, they recognize the need to potentially backfill some of those skills needed for the next, let's say, welding course or auto mechanics course, something like that. I feel like, according to Darren and Mike, I felt like our students involved in the dual enrollment courses with Western, as far as math and language arts, and I'm going to blow this, might be math and language arts, English 1010, for the most part are doing pretty well. I think that our teachers started reaching out to those students early, knowing that Western was coming off of their spring break, and I think they're engaged pretty heavily. Another piece of this, and I'm gonna back off. I think people are tired of hearing me talk about this. So what I want to do is call on a few people to give you an update in their area, because boy, our administrators and our directors have really been working hard at this and implementing and making sure we have things in place. So I'd like to start with, if I could, I'd like to start with Alan Demaray on support services for students.
Thanks, Superintendent Christensen and Chairman Core and Board of Trustees. I know that this was a concern at last week's school board meeting, is how we're meeting the needs of our students with special needs and disabilities. And so I'll quickly run through a couple of the items that we're doing, and feel free to interrupt me and ask any questions if you have any. But we're meeting weekly with all of our special education teams at every building. We have different time slots where we're able to provide any kind of guidance towards compliance or troubleshoot any issues that maybe our staff is having with contacting certain families, or maybe that students are having a hard time with accessing the supports that we're trying to offer. So we're doing that weekly with each of our buildings. That's been really helpful, and be able to provide a consistent message to all of our staff. I think that that's important, especially when we're not able to have that face-to-face. A lot of our students, as you know, are in the general ed classroom, and so that's been able to provide that service where our special education staff is joining that instructional time with those general ed teachers and be able to offer support as they see it necessary. And in addition to, they're scheduling separate times with students to provide one-to-one support, or they're also having some office hours where students can contact them when they're available to get assistance, where they can pre-teach or reteach some of the content. And so that seems to be going really well with our students, similar to the classroom, where some kids don't need as much support as others, but most of our students are taking advantage of that opportunity. Our counselors are reaching out to all of their students that they're currently working with and making sure that they're doing okay during this time. We know that this is a pretty stressful time for some of our students and their families, and therefore they're reaching out and having independent sessions with each of those students, offering that support. So that's been helpful, and a lot of our students I know are taking advantage of that opportunity as well. Where it gets a little tricky is with our students that have more significant needs, where when you're doing a virtual, the parents are having to really provide that instruction through the guidance of our special education staff. And I can tell you that a lot of our staff, they're working very hard at making sure that our parents are provided with activities and strategies for implementing those skills and continuing to work on those goals that each of those students have at home. And so we have small groups that are happening in each of our programs where students are able to join in. Our life skills programs are still offering a lot of the supports that they've been offering, where students are able to log in during certain times of the day, similar to our general education teachers. And that staff is keeping communication with parents daily, if not weekly, if the parents have chosen. All of our related service providers, so speech, occupational therapists, even our physical therapists, have reached out to our families as well with how they can continue to support those students. I know it looks a little different, but it's important that we continue to make sure that we're offering those services, even if they are not in person. Our behavior programs are also reaching out to families, making sure that social skills classes are still being provided, and that parents are receiving support for maybe how to manage some of those behaviors in the home now, since those students are there full time. Overall, I feel like our staff has gone above and beyond to make sure that they're communicating with parents. And I think that the point was made earlier regarding not overwhelming parents and students with the amount of instruction and the amount of Zoom time, but they're definitely trying to find that balance of making sure that those students are receiving as much of the services as they possibly can. So just to clarify one piece too, just so folks are aware, we are not completing any special education assessments over virtual setting or online. We just don't feel like that's appropriate, and that would jeopardize the validity of the assessment. So if students are being evaluated, it's mainly because we didn't need to do any additional assessments to determine eligibility. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear with folks, that we are not doing any assessments online, as well as if your child has an IEP meeting, we're still continuing to schedule those. And we're doing those via Zoom or via phone, whichever is most convenient for the parent. And those team members are contacting them, and we're moving forward to meet our compliance requirements. So overall, I feel like it's going fairly well. Our paraprofessionals are also all working closely with their teachers and case managers to reach out to students. They're also receiving a lot of training during this time, so we're taking that opportunity to make sure that we're not having some downtime. But I know that most of them, and in talking to a lot of them today, I've asked them if they were able to get their hours in, and they're saying they're way over their amount of hours with this venue here. So that's good to hear that they're active. They're participating in those instructional sessions as well as training. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a rundown of what we're doing here to try to support our students. We're always encouraging families, if they're having difficulties or if there's something they wish we would do different, or something that they feel like we could do to support their child even more, please to contact our office or contact their teachers there through the school and let us know. We'd be glad to listen and see what we can do to help out.
Hey, is there any questions of Alan? I've got a couple of questions, but quickly I want to mention if you can mute your mics, we need to mute the mics just because we're getting some feedback from some other people. So make sure you do that. Alan, I have a couple of questions. Have we reached all the kids? Are we 100% on that?
I believe we are at 100%, or if not, we're very close. All of our folks have tried to go through their caseloads and reach out to those. And if we've had some challenges, we've used our administrators as well to contact those parents. And I know that our school resource officer has also been supporting our administrators with reaching families. And I want folks to know that that's not from a legal standpoint. It's primarily because our school resource officer has all of the medical equipment to keep her safe or keep him safe when they go and do those visits into the home. And so it's not that anyone's in trouble. It's more of just we want to reach those families. And so we've been delivering materials that way as well. So I just want to clear up to make sure folks don't feel like we're sending our school resource officers for any particular reason. It's just primarily they have the masks and things that afford them the safety.
Let me ask you this, Alan. Is there anything we can do as a board to help you out on this special ed side? Is there things you need, or are we okay?
Well, at this point, I think our staff is doing a really nice job, and our administrators are working extremely hard to contacting those families, and folks are doing what they can. I think that, at this point, I feel like the board supported us, and we appreciate that you've supported our paraprofessionals and support staff with making sure they're still being compensated for their time. I think that that's something that has sent a very strong message to our staff that they're important to us, and regardless of your position in the district. And so we appreciate that. And if you continue to support us in that manner, I think that that's good for us right now.
All right. Any other questions of Alan?
Alan, I would just like you to thank your staff for the extra effort they're putting in dealing with this. I know how difficult that is to work with special ed students in the capacity they're being asked to do so now. So please tell them how much we appreciate what they're doing and how hard they're working at it.
You bet I will. And I can tell you that the response I hear from most of them is that they really miss their students, and that that's something that they're really struggling with, is that they're lacking that contact. So hopefully their students are able to see them through the screen a little bit here and there, and that's helping, but I know that they wish they could be in person with them.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Robin. Anybody else have any questions of Alan? Okay, Jamie, who's the next presenter?
I'd like Leah Kennison to present, if she could, just talk about how things are going. I know that, boy, they've been going gangbusters night and morning, every morning, getting those meals out, and with the help of the transportation. But boy, for the most part, they did for 3 straight weeks all alone. So Leah.
Hi, Chairman Corr, Superintendent Christensen, Board of Trustees. So as of yesterday, we have served 24,087 breakfasts, and then that same number again for lunch. So total meals served is 48,174. The numbers just keep climbing. We did ask transportation to come in. We have a crew of 8 gals that come in, and they come in from 6 to 9:30 and then 9:30 to 1. And they're pre-packaging all of the bags for us. So I don't know if any of you saw the pictures on Facebook but that cafeteria in Lincoln is completely covered in bags. So they put the chips, the juice, any non-perishable items on the tables. And then that next morning, they help us put in all of the pre-packaged hamburgers, the buns, the carrots, the fruit, everything that we're cupping or pre-packaging in that kitchen individually into those bags. We seal them and then we load them. And Truman has been my highest site. They're between 12 and 1,400 meals a day, just Truman. So, it's the thank yous from people coming up and talking to us has been just amazing, just amazing. And we're really happy to feed the kids. That's what we do. We love it. So.
Okay, Leah, thank you very much. Wow, 48,000 meals. That's amazing. Anything the board can do to help you, or are you going all right?
I think we're going all right. We've definitely stepped up to the plate. I think we're all getting a little bit tired, but we'll get there. It's one of those things where you love feeding people and that's what we do. That's what we do best. So we really want to thank Rock Springs District. They donated 80 cases of milk to Green River, the food service department over there. They were on spring break and the milk was going to go bad, so we took that. Transportation has been huge. Such a huge help. I could not have done it without Rachel and her crew. So they're another big thank you. I have to thank Jason because he's been my sounding board nonstop. Poor Jason. I always tell him, okay, I'm calling you for my weekly phone call. So, here I am. Actually, it's been daily recently. So and thank you to the board for all your support.
Okay, very well. Jamie, if you don't mind, can I ask Rachel real quick, what kind of, what are the transportation department people doing for this program? And how is she determining who does that? How's that work?
So we have, like she said, we have 8 helping bag meals. We started off with 8 routes delivering meals, and then we reduced it to 3 this week. So I've been trying to keep a consistent crew as best as I can there, so that it helps Leah not have, bless her heart, that's all I can say. She's had a lot to deal with. To determine who we put to work, I had to call all of the employees and find out where they were at health-wise, and determine if they were at risk before we could put them to work. So we have a portion of the crew helping food service. We have a portion of the crew delivering educational goods for the elementaries and for any of the schools that are calling us. We just got requested a couple more deliveries today. And then we are working on deep cleaning and detailing the buses for those that I didn't have hours to give them in food service or delivery. So we're trying to schedule things where they're socially distanced and in their own buses by themselves, just undecorating them and deep cleaning them. And the mechanics are working on some major maintenance that we didn't know if we were going to have time for or if we were going to have funds for. So we're trying to make the best out of this hard situation and kind of get ahead of the game going into the next school year. We had some engines that needed some rebuilding and some major PMs that were going to be difficult to do otherwise. So we're making the best of the situation.
All right, sounds good. I did get a chance to see George Moody over there handing out food on Colorado the other day, and it looked like he was having a pretty good time.
They are really enjoying it. They miss seeing the kids. They all come back every day, and we're trying to tell them, stay away, just, come in, clock in, go do your stuff. And they just have all the stories they want to tell us. They tell us about these people that are just in tears, that they're so thankful that we're doing this for them. So, it's a hard time, but the rewards of education are still there for us. And I just want to give a shout out to all the teachers. I have 3 at home trying to do this online learning, and this district is amazing. So that's all I can say.
Great, thank you. Board, is there any comments to Leah or Rachel? Any thoughts, any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you to Leah. I got to go at the very beginning of this and help her pack some meals, and they are so organized and efficient, and it's clean and sanitary. Like nobody even needs to worry because they're super careful with all the food and have it individually packed. And so great job. And thank you to transportation for stepping in and helping and for being flexible through all of this.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Anybody else? Jamie, I did have another couple of questions, and I noticed that in the refusal of service agreement in here, have we had any parents refuse service? Number one, and number two, have we reached all our kids?
Alan could probably answer the refusal of services, but we better. But we have had some parents refuse services at this time, and I don't think those numbers are high, but they have refused services as far as the help with their accommodations that are written in an IEP sometimes, and so that has happened. As far as contacting all the kids, I think we're having a lot of luck at the elementary level, and where those principals report 100% or darn near that 100%. I can't think of one right now actually that hasn't said they haven't contacted in one way or another all the families of those students. I think we're still probably missing a handful at the middle school and the high school, but not very much. You know, I tell you, we're again following the plan we put in place, which was that we've got a bunch of hound dogs out there trying to contact folks, and when we run out opportunities or we're not getting an answer, that's when we elicit the help of the SRO who can go do a home check and just hey, what's the problem? What's the issue you're having? Can we help you? Is it a connectivity problem, or is it you need stuff printed off for you? And the documentation of that, because again, that's part of our plan. But boy, they're just beating the bushes out there trying to make sure we get them all.
Okay, Jamie, quickly, how does that affect our attendance with funding at all, or are we okay there?
You know, I think we're okay. We've got a process in place, and it's not like an hourly attendance like it has been. It's just contact every so many days that shows we're engaging these students. And I think we're going to be okay as far as that goes. And I'm not sure. I think every district's doing a little bit different. We've got Daleen kind of on the background working on Infinite Campus on a way that we're trying to simplify that. But boy, this, like I said, this is all new to everybody, including the vendors that are on our student information systems.
Okay, now I have one other question on grading, and I know you haven't really, it sounds like to me you guys haven't made a decision on kind of where we're going on the grading thing. I was asked this about kids at the high school, especially seniors for Hathaway, that may be sitting at 2.98 or 3.18 or 3.28 or whatever the number is to get to the next level in Hathaway. Have we, if we're not going to do grades, have we thought about possibly allowing kids to opt into a grade to maybe help them in that situation? Or is that not allowed by the State Department?
Well, I think that here's what I remember hearing yesterday, and I don't know, and Greg, maybe you can jump in here too, or even Darren, but one of the things I heard was they were really going to be looking at the first, I'm going to blow this, 7 semesters as opposed to this last one, because they know everybody's going to do it different. So to kind of equal the playing field, so to speak, I'm not sure a grade or an SU is going to make a difference on the Hathaway.
So there was
I guess
guidance
let me pipe in real quick if I could. And it sounds like Greg or Darren's going to talk, but I guess what I'm asking is I heard the 7 semester deal on the WDA call yesterday. And in fact, I have the fact sheet here in front of me from the Wyoming Department of Education. I guess my question is, I understand they're not going to hold the kid back on 7 semesters, but if you have a kid that's 0.02 away from moving up 1 level in Hathaway, that's the concern that was shared with me is, I have a kid that's sitting at, let's use 3.48, for example, and 3.5 puts you at the next level in Hathaway. If we go to an SU or a pass-fail system, are we going to allow that kid to possibly get the grade that would get them above that 3.5? I guess is what I'm asking.
Mr. Core, I think to answer that question, and like I said, I just have to finalize this, but our intent is to still provide letter grades to those students in grades 9 through 12. Not solely because of that, but I think there are a lot of students who work very hard and want that A or want that, and they're working hard to get that. So
Okay,
our
that
plan
answers my
was to
question.
keep
Thanks.
that in place as far as the letter grade, and with the potential of a possibility of an incomplete, that makes sure that we do our due diligence to make sure we do everything we possibly can for a student to have the opportunity to pass those classes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, there being none, we'll move on. Thank you, Jamie, very much for your hard work on this document. It's well detailed, and we got approval from the state, and so did all the other 47 districts. So we appreciate your efforts on this, Jamie. And I think the question and answer fact sheet that you're going to put out is going to be very helpful. So we appreciate it. I know you had other people help you with that, but I know for a fact that you were part of that. So thank you.
Thanks. And I know our folks, and I know not everybody got a chance tonight. I'll give them to speak on what they're doing, because boy, every department's just, I'm so happy with the folks that I work with and their efforts and commitment to this thing. And like everybody recognizes, everybody says it every day, that we're, doing the best we can. And certainly there's a whole heck of a lot of effort behind it.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is curriculum, is bid request items. Our first one is, she took it away from me. Consider approval for the renewal of the printer contract for the 2021 school year. JR, I believe you're the one that's going to speak on this. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you, Steve, Chairman Core. Thank you, Superintendent Christensen, and members of the board. We would like to come to you now for authorization to renew our print service contract for the 2021 fiscal year. Copier and Supply was awarded the contract in March 2018 with the option to automatically renew. We would like to renew that for the next year. The price is going to be $40,800. The cost is not going up for the next year.
Okay, I need a motion to approve Copier and Supply for $40,800 for the renewal of the printer contract, please.
This is Karina. I make the motion.
Thank you.
Robin,
I
second.
second.
Okay, Karina moved and Robin seconded the approval of the renewal of the printer contract to Copier and Supply. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, JR. Next item is consider approval of bids for the Lincoln Middle School flooring request. And I believe Doug's with us. Is he going to talk on this, or is Jamie?
I can do it.
Okay.
Mr. Core. So Chairman Core and trustees, I'm seeking approval of a bid to J.C. Jacobs for the flooring for the wellness rooms at Lincoln Middle School. I'm sorry, not for $53,105. That was about $5,000, $4,000 and change below what we anticipated.
All right, very well. We need a motion on the floor to approve the Lincoln Middle School flooring request for J.C. Jacobs for $53,105.
This is Rochelle. So moved.
Brenda, second.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle and Brenda. Moved by Rochelle, seconded by Brenda to approve this to J.C. Jacobs. Any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of the audit service recommendation. And joining us is Christine, our business manager. Chris, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Core, Superintendent Christensen, and Board of Trustees. In your board packet is the proposal that for the audit engagement from Decoria and Company PC. And this is for the audit of the financial statements for the fiscal years June 30th, 2020 through June 30th of 2022. The fees in essence, did not change. The base fee, I should say, the 22,000 per year for the base audit did not change. And the single audit, $3,000 fee per year with reasonable out-of-pocket expenses not to exceed 1,000, makes for a total of 26,000 for the audit, and that's a not to exceed number. And I'm recommending to accept the proposal, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, we'll get it on the floor. Is there any, I need a motion to approve the Decoria and Company PC audit proposal not to exceed $26,000. Need a motion, please?
Brenda moved to approve.
Okay, moved by Brenda, second by Robin to approve the audit services for Decoria and Company PC. Is there any questions of Brenda, excuse me, Chris?
Chris, how many years have we had Decoria as our auditors?
We have had them since 2007. So this would be going into our 13th year with them. And I feel like our relationship with them is very good. They've helped us a lot along the way with new GASB proclamations and so forth. And I'm good with recommending continuing with them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is here the update on Green River High School and Expedition Academy graduation. You guys probably flipped a coin, so you decide who goes first. Ralph and Darren, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Corr, Superintendent Christensen, and Board of Trustees. I'll just give you a quick update on some of the things we're thinking. First of all, we really appreciate Ms. Harvey's comments to begin the board meeting. We know whatever we come up with is probably not going to be the same and replace our traditional ceremony. We know how special that is to our kids, our parents, our community. We also know our parents are very anxious out there. They're wanting to know what graduation is going to look like. Unfortunately, right now we'd be gearing up for our senior banquet, our industrial arts fair, our senior send-off, and our senior walk all before graduation. And so she's right. These kids are missing out on some things that unfortunately we can't replace. So heart goes out to our class of 2020. First thing that we're looking for is a virtual graduation. And the good news is that we have got a lot of things in place to put together a pretty cool virtual graduation. We would run that just like we would with our regular ceremony. We would have speakers in caps and gowns. Our guest speaker, the senior speaker this year, would be Mr. Swartz. He would be in a cap and gown. We would read names. We have a picture of each senior as a young child, an infant, and then we have a picture of them in their senior year. We could also reach out to our parents and ask for pictures in caps and gowns, and we could do that all virtually. We could read the names, show all three of those pictures with their names across, and then a picture of their diploma. I did reach out to Senator Barrasso today and ask if he would be willing to send our kids a message of support and talk about adversity and the times that they've experienced. Don't know if you realize this, but this was a class that started their schooling, and September 11th, Twin Towers happened, and then they're ending with COVID-19. So started with kind of a bang and then ending with a bang. So the other idea that's out there is a parade, fire trucks and seniors with their parents in the cars, a parade through town, police and fire truck escort. People could come out, wave. It would end in the Green River High School parking lot, and then we would go and hand, as the cars pulled up, hand them their diplomas. That one's got a lot of popularity out there. I've heard a lot of parents out there talking about that one. And then the third option is potentially moving the date, like Mrs. Harvey suggested. Again, we know that moving the date isn't just as easy as picking a date in the summer when hopefully this thing clears up, because we know that people will be off on summer jobs. Some kids will be off to college, and whatever date we pick, there's potential I can't make that date type of things that will arise. But we are working hard. Fortunately, we have Nancy Ryder who works magic with these virtual videos. And there's not to say that we couldn't do both, maybe a video and a parade. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. We're going to put a survey out there to our stakeholders and see what they're thinking as well. One other idea that popped up is maybe do like a drive-up theater where you played the video on a large screen and kids could sit in their cars socially distancing away from it and see it like a drive-in theater, and it'd be broadcast over the radio station. Logistically, I just don't know what that would look like or where that would come into play, where we would have a place for a drive-up style theater. But we are taking ideas. We're getting feedback from our parents and we're working hard on that. So.
Any questions of Darren on this? This is a tough one for me. I don't have any skin in the game, so to speak, but this is a tough one. I kind of like the virtual idea, and I also kind of lean towards the parade. Is there a way we could do both, Darren, where you have the virtual graduation and then we gather and do whatever, and maybe do the virtual graduation on Monday at 4 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock we meet somewhere and let them parade through town and have the glory that they deserve?
Mr. Core, that's certainly a possibility. I don't see, we have the resources. It'll take some time and effort to put that together, but I know Nancy and our senior sponsors, Kayla Mahanovich and Margot King, they're itching at the get ready and go. We can get that video together. And I don't think a parade would be all that hard to put together. So it's a possibility of doing both. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if you took part in the one the other night on Friday night. Nancy and I had a chance to go through that thing, honking our horns. That was an amazing, amazing thing. And I can imagine on a graduation night, that'd be pretty special. I would like to defer a little bit to Mark. Mark, you have kids that are graduating from high school. Where's your head at on this thing?
It's a pretty tough call. I got one that doesn't care a lot and one that's totally distraught over not going to prom and not getting to walk. And, you know, there's whatever we do, we got to come up with something special. It's going to be a tough deal. You know, I don't know how we rescue this. I've thought about it. And, you know, these kids have got cap and gowns ordered. They've got trips planned. They've got parties planned. And, you know, a lot of it's getting taken from them. And I don't know. We just got to make something special. And I think the board's very intelligent, very thoughtful board. And I think input from all the board members, if they thought about their kids not getting to graduate, at least a ceremony, you know, could come up with some great ideas, some great plans. I had an opportunity to talk to Darren, and I think somehow we just need to single these kids out and appreciate them as a school district. You know, it's hard, stressful. They're having trouble with pushing through scholarships, or having trouble with trying to get grades up that they needed to get grades up for entry. So they got a lot of stress. So somehow we need to have something that takes their stress away. And I don't know what that is. I like all the ideas, but we just need to somehow make every one of them feel a little bit special.
Let me throw this out to the board and see what you think about this idea. And I think you all board members would agree that, you know, there's a lot of things you remember from your high school days, whether you were an athlete or not, or you were in band or whatever it was. Those things you remember, but the one thing you remember probably most is graduation. And I can take myself back to the city park in Grable, Wyoming, and remember it like it was yesterday. I think we need to do something that makes this that kind of special for these kids. I thought about possibly doing what they do for sports, where they put the kids' placards along You Win a Drive. And I think we could figure out some way to do that for the parents and students, the school board discretionary funds or whatever. I think that would be pretty cool if we were able to do something like that, and it's a keepsake for them. And then, like I said, do the virtual graduation and possibly do a parade afterwards. I agree with Mark. I think we we just got to put our heads together and come up with something pretty cool, and we don't have a lot of time to do it.
I'd encourage all the board members to give your ideas to Darren. I think, I trust a lot of board members to come up with some great ideas to show these kids that, they're special to us, and we'll come up with something.
Yeah, I'm still taking ideas. I ask around the state and around the country. I've got friends in Texas and just asking what they're doing. A lot of us are scratching our heads asking the same question, and we're really limited with having to kind of keep it distance and not gathering in crowds. It makes it very tough. And I'm going to go back to what Ms. Harvey said at the beginning of the meeting. Those ceremonies are special, and I know how important it is to kids and how emotional it can be. And then closing one chapter and starting another. There's just, it's going to be tough. Whatever we come up with isn't going to replace our traditional ceremony, because that's been important to our kids.
Yeah, there's no doubt, no matter what way we go on this, not everybody's going to be happy. Of course, we have our Green River High School graduates on Monday, and then the next day on Tuesday, we have scheduled Expedition Academy graduation, and those seniors are just as important as the seniors at Green River High School. So Ralph, what are you guys, what are you thinking on your end?
We've talked about some of those same ways of celebrating our students that Darren had mentioned. Throwing in maybe a live radio broadcast, announcing their names at the same time. I think as small as we are, we're probably gonna have 17 graduates. We could wait probably until around May 1st, May 4th to make that decision. See if things might open up, or if they don't, then make a decision on what we could do. Send out a survey to our parents and students and give them the top 3 or top 5 to choose from, and go from there.
Okay, board, any other input? I think Mark's kind of requesting us to maybe send an email to Darren and give him your ideas, but I think there's some people from the public listening in tonight. Is there anybody else that'd like to pipe in on this one?
This is Brenda, and I think that, of course, we don't know the future, but I think postponing it, maybe putting a date in the future and planning those things a couple months ahead of time and saying, okay, we're clear to go. We're going to go ahead and make this plan for August 1st or the end of July or whatever. And hopefully we can get as many kids, postponing it versus canceling it versus doing a drive-by I think we have a lot of options open to us, and I think considering a postponement and reenacting some of these special events that they're missing might be something to consider. Just my 2 cents.
Anybody else?
I think the only thing that I would like to add, I think it's really important no matter what we do, we reinforce the social distancing. And I know it's really hard for kids because this is their time. They want to be together. They want to be doing things together. I just want them to be safe. And I think we need to encourage that.
Robin, if I could real quick, that is, as we come up with ideas and we think of ideas and we put ideas on the table, there always comes up with the social distancing and reservations. And when you're going to get these kids together, there's going to be potential to get them together. They want to see their friends. They want to socialize. And I think that's a legitimate concern. So thank you.
Anybody else?
This is Rochelle. I like the idea of, I feel like what Mark said, this needs to be something that's extremely special, and we do kind of need to go out of our way for these kids and make sure that they know that they're seen and heard, and we're all proud of them and appreciate them. So I'll definitely rack my brain and send an email over to Darren. If there's any way we can help or anything the board can do, we of course would back that and want these kids to know how important they are, and this is a big deal in their life.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would just agree with what has been said. The social distancing aspect is important. We don't want to try to get everybody in a big group and validate that, but I do think it's important to show our seniors that we do care about them and they still are important, even though it's not a traditional graduation. So I'll try to rack my brain as well, but I do like the idea of coming up with the top maybe 3 or 4 ideas that kind of eliminate some of that social distancing scare, and let either the parents pick or the students pick, because it's kind of ultimately, it's their graduation. So it'd be nice for them to come up, be able to make that final decision.
I would, Darren, I somewhat agree with Karina on this. So if we've, finding out what the students and parents want, I think are important, but I think we need to set some guidelines. There's no way we're going to have a graduation on the date we have right now. It's not going to happen. And I think they just canceled Flaming Gorge days. There's just July, maybe. It's all a maybe thing. I think that kids check out after this is over. I really believe that it's July, and most of those kids aren't going to be interested in going to a graduation, I believe. So I think if we set some parameters and ask the kids, postpone it or have a virtual kind of graduation and see what they say. I don't know how difficult it'll be to reach out to them, but I think if it's important to them enough, they'll reach to us.
So Mr. Core, Mr. Christensen worked on kind of a survey today to share with our parents and kind of outline some options, but also put in some guidelines like, hey, we have to follow recommendations, because parents are clearly going to make decisions with their heart. They're going to vote with their heart because that's where their hearts with their kids. And so he put in some guidelines that said, hey, remember, we have to consider what the health department tells us, and we have to consider what's safe, but here's some options. Give us your feedback. I'll be interested to get that information too. So I know we're working on it.
Good. Glad that that's already taken place. Okay. Anything else on this? Okay. If you have come up with some brilliant ideas, certainly
Hey,
pass them
Steve.
along. Yes.
Steve, this is Mark. I foresee this dying off pretty quick, but the problem with postponement is we postpone it, set the plans, and then it doesn't go as we would expect it to do. In a medical field, we should see this die off pretty quick, and especially in Wyoming. But you can plan for middle of June one, and then if things don't go our way, then you're planning for a middle of July one. So I see that as a problem, and that would probably get one of my kids my throat cut by one of them, because she's fully in favor of the postponement, but because she wants to walk. But I think by middle of May, 1st of June, you're going to see this die off to nothing, and the economy is going to have to start working. But we may just get bounced if we try to postpone. So I see that a little bit problematic. So I think we just need to come up with some really awesome, amazing ideas right now. I don't know what a graduation ceremony typically costs us as a school district. I don't know, funding wise what we need to do, but we need to use everybody's brain to figure out what's going to be best. How are we going to get these kids their diplomas beyond through the mail? That to me, I think getting your diploma in the mail is not the right thing. And we can observe social distancing and still be there as a board. I don't care if I'm 6 feet, 10 feet, or 15 feet away from you, Steve, but we need to be there as a board if we have to social distance, somehow get these kids their diplomas, and make sure they know that they're special to us.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, being none, we'll move on to our next item, which is superintendent and board comments. And Mark, you're the first one on my screen, so you got to go first.
Well, I'm just hoping we can come up with something good. I got 2 of them, so there's a lot of stress with all of it going on in our household. So I would appreciate all of your ideas. Going to Darren, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Rochelle, you're next.
I just want to start by saying, I think everybody in this district, I haven't heard anybody complain. I've heard people sing praises and super supportive of what everybody's doing. And I know it's not easy. And I really appreciate Leah and her staff and the transportation not only because they're feeding the kids, but they're also laying eyes on these kids that people aren't getting to see every day. And so I know that's good for the kids, and it's nice for those that we maybe have concerns about, that we have extra people that are still seeing them. And these kids it is stressful for them being in school like this. You know, I have 3 kids at home too, and it's been an adjustment, but we've had great teachers who have shown grace and gratitude and have been extremely helpful for all the kids, and not kids just in their classes, but with kids throughout the district. And that's been awesome. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody, and you're doing great. And to Anne Marie, I did put in a request for a sub for 5th grade last week or the week before, and I haven't heard back yet if I could have one or not, because it is hard for people. So I feel for you teachers that are doing this with all these kids. And just know that all you cool cats and kittens will get through this, and we'll be moving on, and it's going to be great when this is over, and the district has done a fabulous job. So thank you, everybody, and I'm super impressed.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate it. Robin?
I would just like to say, without getting emotional, because you know I always do, I've been part of this district for a very, very long time, and I have never been more proud of working and being a board member for this school district. I think it's just phenomenal what our teachers are doing, what our support staff are doing, and we need to be very proud of our district. And I think anytime we walk by somebody that works in our district, we need to pat them on the, well, not now, we can't pat them on the back, but give them a little applause, because they've done a phenomenal job, and I can't thank them all enough.
My bad, I was muted. Karina?
I like your Tiger King comment there, Rochelle. When I think that I can't be more proud of the district, you guys do something like this. I probably will repeat what some people have said, but it's absolutely amazing, the teamwork, the leadership that the school district has shown in this, from the top to the bottom. The admin team for working so hard to get the online classes going quickly. It took you about a week and a half to get everybody up and going, and that's phenomenal. I know a couple districts in the state, they didn't start their online learning until this week, and we're already 3 weeks ahead, and it's awesome. It's I'm really proud to say I'm from school district 2. It's very admirable. So I appreciate the admin team working so hard. Each department head, you guys just do incredible things. Just the ideas that you come up with, the changes you make to make Green River successful, to help the kids succeed, to help the parents. It's just incredible. Those teachers, man, it's amazing. You guys are awesome. I applaud you for what you do. It's incredible. The experiences that I have at my house, the teachers are organized. They have their students there. They have them interacting. The kids enjoy being there. They give them a little, 10 minutes beforehand to be able to talk to their classmates and be able to interact with them. And it's just really awesome. Everything's running smooth, and it's all because of you guys. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you do. So we'll get through it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Karina. I appreciate it. Brenda? Brenda, are you there?
Trying to unmute myself, sorry.
Okay, there you go.
How is it?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I
stopped breathing for a
Jenny,
second.
thank you so much. The leadership you've shown during this crisis is just
Karina,
certainly
mute your mic.
something that, pardon me? Am I up?
Yeah, you're fine, Brenda. I'm
Jamie?
sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Chris, Leah, Alan, Jason, I just reiterate what everyone else has said. You guys are doing an amazing job of keeping us going. And I know the teacher lessons are amazing and just a tough time for us to get through, but we're going to get through this. And there's somebody up there that's got this under control. And so we just need to have faith and keep moving forward. So I think the ideas for graduation, I'll certainly submit mine to Darren, but I do think that we need to make it special for them. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate it. And last but not least, Ashley. Are you there, Ashley?
Sorry, my cursor disappeared on me. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for being flexible, parents, teachers, support staff, admin. Jamie has done a great job leading everybody through this. And I think having the online option has given kids a sense of normalcy, and having some online, some where they actually interact with each other. I've seen in my own home with my 3 kids, it's nice for them to hear everybody's voices again and see some familiar faces. And so I think that's been good. I have heard a lot of great things too, and seen the teachers adjust things as maybe something doesn't work just how they wanted. The next week, they just tell them they're changing it up, and the kids are all super flexible and moving along with that. And so I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for all your hard work. I've heard from a few teachers too that they almost feel like they're on the clock 24/7 now, because they get emails like all hours of the night, and then they're thinking about it, whether they respond or not. And so thank you to the teachers for being so willing to put your time in and keep helping these kids along. And graduation, I agree too. It needs to be something really special. It's been a hard ending to the seniors year. So we'll come up with something, and I'll try and think of something and send some ideas to Darren.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. Before I let Jamie speak, I wanted to mention, I'll just do mine. I want to welcome Darren Heslop to the Green River High School principalship. I don't know if it's happened in the past, but it's probably the first father-son combination we've had lead that building. Larry Heslop, his dad, was the head principal many moons ago. And now Darren will slip in there, and I'm sure he'll do a great job. Darren Howard, I want to thank you very much for your years of service at Green River High School. I was always welcomed in that building, whether I was on the board or not, but I think I was on the board the whole time you were there. But even when you were a social studies teacher and head football coach, you and I had a chance to work with each other for 4 years in a capacity of media and head football coach. And you've always been very professional. And I appreciate your service at Green River High School. And I look forward to busting in your classroom at Lincoln Middle School this year. Maybe we'll do a retro football coach, ex-football coach interview or something just for fun. I want to thank Chris Dean for the budget meetings we've had. Chris, nice job on that. Very informative. I think we're going to be able to rock and roll this negotiations with the GREA. And I understand that they were very pleased with the presentation as well. I appreciate it, Chris. Leah and Rachel, I should say, nice job on the transportation and the lunch serving that we're doing. And Jamie, you and I have probably seen more of each other in the last 30 days than we care to count, but I appreciate you allowing me to walk in anytime and sit down and discuss the many issues that we're dealing with in the district. And I appreciate that. So with that, Jamie, I'll let you take it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I know that I probably repeat a few of the things everybody else said, but I tell you, the state of Wyoming, I think through this whole thing has had a heck of a support group out there with educators, period. And the superintendent's group has been outstanding, led by Kevin Mitchell, and Brian Farmer gives us a lot of support, but that's nothing compared to the support that I feel like our administrators and our directors and supervisors in this district show to each other every day. I think they've just done an outstanding job. When you go out and you see, I know that the kind of time and effort that Leah and her staff are putting into this thing. And I know the complexities now, know the complexities of something like this and the difficulties in it creates in an HR office for guys like Jason and the IEP requirements and 504 requirements that we're required to follow through with out of Alan's office. And Chris Chris and her staff are trying to figure out, what are the new guidelines on all the federal funding out there. And it's, that she thought, we're ready to go on May 6th on the negotiations, and all of a sudden, boy, things change. And also, we got Tony Beardsley out there who's not in here tonight, but gosh, we know the Activities Association canceled their spring events. And I think that everybody kind of expected that, but gosh, it's created some difficulty for him too. And our board has been ultra supportive on on helping pay our employees. And I know that they appreciate that. And I think the only thing left right now, when we get to May 1st, where we're going to start examining this, I think we probably got to start a little bit of a conversation about, when is it time to say, let's just finish a year this way, as opposed to even if we do come back in, because man, when you get to May 4th, which is that Monday, a week later, the seniors are done. That's their last day. So, even at that point, if they say, hey, you can go back on May 11th, I guess I'm wondering if do we go back? We just finish it up that way, as we only have another week. So I think that's conversation ongoing, but I sure appreciate everybody's support through this thing, and patience too. And boy, I know I can't imagine the stressors being felt at home sometimes. And I don't want to forget our parents and in thanking them, because, truthfully, they didn't sign up for this either, so everybody's just working hard to help their kids.
All right, thank you, Jamie. And I know on behalf of the board, I can certainly say that we're sure glad you're running the ship, because I think it's run pretty smoothly and we appreciate it. With that, our next meeting will be in May, unless, of course, something comes up where we have to get together. I would appreciate if the thought process is that come up with some ideas on GREA negotiations. I threw out a couple of ideas. I have a feeling that this is going to be with us when we are scheduled to do this. So be thinking about that. I'm probably going to reach out to you in a couple of weeks when we got a little closer to that date, and I'll see where your guys' heads are at on the negotiations with our GREA. With that, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate it. All the other people that are non-board members for being here. I appreciate you, and of course, appreciate the board very much. Any other questions, comments that you'd like to throw in before we say goodbye?
Hey, Steve, if anybody has any COVID questions, they can sure throw them at me. I mean, we're staying extremely well informed. We're doing podcasting with a lot of our professionals that are in the field doing that. So, and your thoughts on different things, if you want to know what's trending and what we're seeing, in Wyoming and what we're expecting, don't hesitate to let me know.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Without any further ado, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending tonight, and just hit your leave meeting button. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.